stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is expected soon to formally order the lifting of the COVID-19 public health emergency in the Philippines.
The controversial Maharlika Investment Fund or MIF bill has been transmitted to the Office of the President.
The Philippine Weather Bureau PAGASA confirms onset of the El Niño phenomenon in the country.
And Russia and Saudi Arabia announced extension of cuts to the amount of oil they supply to the world to boost income and to support the stability and balance of the market.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, the 4th of July, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harding Delgado.
First in the news. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is expected soon to formally order the lifting of the COVID-19 public health emergency in the Philippines. Nel Maribohok reports.
Department of Health Secretary Teodoro Herbosa said that only a formal order from President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is needed to lift the COVID-19 public health emergency. The secretary said the president told him that it seems the public health emergency has already been lifted because of the easing of COVID-19 restrictions.
Ang sabi niya kasi de facto parang naka-lift na rin tayo, di ba? Okay. Teka, optional na ang masking, di ba? Hindi na in-extend yung state of calamity. Wala pang formal.
The health chief said he has just waiting for the resolution from the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that IATF resolution. So the IATF resolution for this was issued by my predecessor, si OIC Barrera. So if that's not yet signed, I'll follow it up with the reiteration. Because I think at that time they were still hesitant because there was still the problem of how do we get the bivalent, it will lift it. But now I think that obstacle is gone kasi may CPR na tayo.
He said it's possible the monovalent vaccines may still be given out for free when the health emergency is over. Former President Rodrigo Duterte on March 8, 2020 declared a state of public health emergency due to COVID-19. The state of public health emergency will remain in effect unless lifted or withdrawn by the sitting president. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ordered an investigation into the smuggling of onion and other agricultural products. According to Malacanang, in a memorandum to the President by Marikina Representative Stella Kimbo, who led the Committee on Agriculture and Food hearings at the House of Representatives, she stated that substantial evidence has been uncovered pointing to the existence of an onion cartel as she shed light on the causes behind the surge in onion prices in 2022. President Marcos emphasized the significance of these findings as sufficient grounds to initiate an investigation, citing the need to address what amounts to economic sabotage.
I have just given instructions to the DOJ and the NBI to initiate an investigation into the hoarding, smuggling, price fixing of agricultural commodities. And this is stemming from the hearings that were conducted in the House, specifically by Congresswoman Stella Kimbo, and the findings that they came to.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives announced that it will lift the COVID-19 antigen test requirement for the guests and participants who will attend the second State of the Nation address of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Janice Inhente will tell us why.
As the Department of Health or DOH earlier recommends the lifting of the public health emergency declaration due to COVID-19 pandemic. Guests and attendees of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s second State of the Nation address will no longer be required to present negative antigen test result or any health declaration, according to House of Representatives Secretary General Reginald Velasco.
The only requirement, kunyari may symptoms ka, then we will require you to have the RT-PCR. Or yung mga unvaccinated, no? Then we'll have a special lane for them. Kasi we don't want to risk the health of all the guests.
Velasco added that for vaccinated, COVID-19 vaccination card would be required. Giving the easing COVID-19 health protocols, Velasco said that they are expecting 100% physical attendance for the second SONA of PBBM. Velasco said they will begin the sending invitations for SONA next week.
We must have this guest list within the week. Our priority, of course, is the Office of the President and our Senate counterparts. So, yan ang priority namin. Yung House of Representatives, we will adjust accordingly based on the guest list of these two.
Meanwhile, Velasco said that the President's second SONA will still have Presidential Advisor for Creative Communications Paul Soriano as the director. Janice Gente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Justice, or DOJ, said that the lawyers of the suspects in the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Ruel de Gamo used some tactics to allegedly delay the proceedings of the complaints against their clients. Dante Almento tells us why.
The Department of Justice, or DOJ spokesperson, Assistant Secretary Mico Clavano, revealed the camp of the suspects in the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Ruel de Gamo have submitted documents such as counter-affidavits that were not signed by their clients. And the other documents are not also the original copies. These are allegedly tactics to delay the proceedings of the complaints.
We require them to submit the necessary documentation in the proper form. But if they resort to these types of tactics on a daily basis, then it will really delay the administration of justice, which is exactly what the department wants.
But Attorney George Valenton, lawyer for some of the suspects, said they have already submitted original copies and photocopies of the affidavits. Clavano added that DOJ wants only to expedite the process for them to elevate the complaints in the court. The NBI yesterday submitted some additional documents to include clear photos that will allegedly prove that the suspects were in the crime scene.
These will automatically support yung original statement nila na sila yung nandun mismo sa scene of the crime, dun po sa Pamplona.
Meanwhile, the camp of Congressman Arne Teves believes there is no evidence now that will determine the participation of the legislator in the crime.
No other evidence linking Congressman Teves and no confessions from the supposed suspects ay magpa-file pa rin sila ng kaso. Malalaman po natin, ngayon po tayo magkakaalaman.
The DOJ, on the other hand, assures the authorities have examined thoroughly the complaints before filing. Dante Almento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Justice, or DOJ, issued a show cause order against a Quezon City prosecutor caught on video carrying a gun while arguing with a delivery rider. DOJ spokesman Assistant Secretary Mico Clavano said the prosecutor has already submitted an explanation to the DOJ. Clavano stressed they are not condoning such acts, especially by an official who supposedly upholds justice. The DOJ will act on a recommendation by the National Prosecution Service over the action of the prosecutor.
The department does not condone any violent behavior of this sort, and we will definitely look into this serious allegation and his explanation with much vigor, hoping that we preserve the integrity of the department and the National Prosecution Service.
The Philippine National Police, or PNP, discovered 2 Taiwanese fugitives in a raid at a Pogo hub in Las Piñas last week. PNP Public Information Office Chief Police Brigadier General Red Maranan said that this resulted from the profiling and documentation process of the police among the more than 1,104 nationals rescued on June 27. The 2 Taiwanese fugitives are wanted for fraud. Maranan adds that the PNP will not vacate the premises until all the PNP officers complete the profiling.
Ayaw natin na merong mga wanted ng iba't ibang bansa na nagtatrabaho dito sa ating lugar.
Earlier, Shinchuang Technology Incorporated submitted a demand letter through their legal counsel, attorney Ananias Christian Vargas, requesting the PNP to vacate the Pogo Hub premises within 24 hours. And for news abroad, the world's biggest oil exporters will continue to deepen costs, which will see prices go even higher across the globe. Annie Mancilia will tell us why live. Good evening, Annie.
Good evening, Marielle. Russia and Saudi Arabia have announced they will be extending cuts to the amount of oil they supply to the world to boost income and to support the stability and balance of oil markets. The Saudi energy industry stated that its voluntary oil production cut of 1 million barrels per day will continue until August and is subject to further extension. This statement would make the kingdom's overall cuts for the month of August to approximately 9 million barrels per day. Shortly after Saudi's announcement, Russia's Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak announced that Moscow will be cutting oil exports by 500,000 barrels per day next month. Aside from the 2 largest oil exporters, Algeria would also add a 20,000 from its oil output cuts from August 1 to 31 to support Saudi Arabia and Russia's exports to create market balance and stabilize oil markets. Meanwhile, the cuts will total to 1.5% of the global supply, garnering concerns over a global economic slowdown and a possible interest rate increase from the U.S. Federal Reserve. Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Annie Mancilia, for that live report. 9 Palestinians have died and 100 were injured in drone attacks by Israeli military on Monday, July 3, in what is believed to be its most extensive offensive in Jenin, West Bank. The number of casualties are expected to grow as some of the injured are in critical condition. The Jenin refugee camp, which currently houses around 18,000 Palestinian militants and civilians, has been declared a closed Israeli military zone. Israel aims to stop the camp from being a refugee for terrorism and has cut off its telephone communications and electricity supply. According to Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the strikes on what he called nests of terrorists will continue until quiet and security has been restored, but with minimal injury to civilians. In response, Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Mohammed Shtayyeh was furious about the attempt by Israel to erase the refugee camp and displace the residents. We'll share more global stories with you later. I am Maria Latoza. Back to you, Harleen. Thank you, Marielle. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The controversial Maharlika Investment Fund, or MIF bill, has been transmitted to the palace. According to the Office of Senate President Juan Miguel Mig-Zubiri, the bill was submitted to the Office of the President through the Presidential Legislative Liaison Office. Zubiri also confirmed today that the bill was signed by House Speaker Martin Romualdez. No word yet from the palace on when will President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. sign the controversial measure.
Leaders of both chambers of Congress have identified several proposed measures to be prioritized in the upcoming regular session of the 19th Congress. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
Senate and House leaders met today for a pre-legislative Executive Development Advisory Council or LEDAC meeting headed by Senate President Juan Miguel Migzubiri and House Speaker Martin Romualdez. There, 9 proposed measures were identified as priority bills for the second regular session of the 19th Congress. These are the proposed National Disease Prevention Management Authority or the Philippine Center for Disease Control, the Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps or ROTC, Internet Transactions Act, amendment to the Build, Operate, Transfer Law or Public-Private Partnership, revitalizing the salt industry, Magna Carta for Filipino seafarers, LGU income classification, easing of paying taxes, and the Philippine Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting System or PAGASA law. Meanwhile, 4 bills will be proposed to the Executive Department to be added in the priority list, which are the Philippine Defense Industry Development Act, amendment to the AFP Modernization Law, Tatak Pinoy, and the Blue Economy. Earlier today, the Senate Committee on Economic Affairs resumed its hearing on PAGASA law and the Blue Economy, which advocates for sustainable development by harnessing green infrastructure and technologies while protecting the oceans and coasts in the country.
Never has it been that environmental, climate, sustainability measures have been placed on priority lists by both houses. We are in agreement that these are important measures that are LEDAC priorities. We leave it to the President as well, but I am certain that he will hear what Congress has to offer as priority as well.
House Secretary General Reginald Velasco says President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will join tomorrow's LEDAC meeting at Malacanang. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, responded to 33 allegedly delayed flood control projects flagged down by the Commission on Audit. JP Nunez will tell us why.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA cites number of factors which caused delay of flood management projects flagged down by the Commission on Audit. On its official statement, MMDA Acting Chairman Attorney Don Artes said the delay of the project was affected by a tedious process and discussion with the World Bank before they were approved and implemented. He emphasized that those flood management projects were foreign-assisted projects which has differently procurement process. Also, Attorney Artes mentioned that the period of the project questioned by the COA was in 2018 up to 2022, the period when COVID-19 hit the country. Some projects were also covered by the election ban that also contributed to the delay. As of today, out of the 47 projects mentioned in the COA report, 27 were completed. 12 are ongoing and will be completed this year. 3 are ongoing procurement, while 5 were already abandoned as they are no longer necessary or relevant. The MMDA assures that they will closely monitor all the project deliverables to ensure that they were implemented within the given time frame. MMDA said the World Bank have recommended to extend the projects for another 2 years. Based on the 2022 annual audit report of the COA to MMDA, there were 33 out of the 47 flood control projects were not completed by the MMDA as of December 2022. The total cost of the projects is more than 825 million pesos. JP Nunez, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The El Nino phenomenon is now existing according to the Philippine Weather Bureau PAGASA. The Department of Agriculture is preparing to mitigate the impact to food production. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
PAGASA observed the above-normal sea surface temperature in the eastern and central equatorial Pacific in the past 3 months. This means that El Nino is at weak stage and could be upgraded in the last quarter of the year until the first quarter of 2024.
Nandiyan na yung El Nino doon sa Central Equatorial Pacific. Mainit na talaga yung karagatan natin. Pero yung impact nito ay hindi pa natin totally nararamdaman. Eto na talaga ngayon, sigurado na tayo kasi talagang mainit na yung dagat. So, ibig sabihin, dire-diretso na ito, nandiyan na yung El Niño sa karagatan, mainit na. So wala na tayong nakikita na hindi ito magkakaroon ng impact sa atin.
El Niño's effect in the Philippines is the reduction of rainfall. In December, around 28 areas could experience dry condition, including the major part of Mindanao, Negros Island, Cebu, and Bohol, and also Cagayan and Batanes. 36 provinces could experience dry spell, mostly in Luzon and also Panay Island and Leyte. Drought would experience in Camarines Norte and Southern Leyte. In January 2024, most part of Luzon would experience drought.
Ang worst na pwede nating maranasan ay yung dry season natin next year. Kasi kung maubos na natin yung supply na inipon natin ngayong tag-ulan, kakapusin tayo next year sa dry season.
Few tropical cyclones may enter or form in the Philippine area of responsibility when El Niño is existing, but it may be destructive once it reach the country.
Na pagdating naman po ng October, November, December, kasagsagan po ng mga landfalling, crossing tropical cyclone, and at the same time, humihina yung ating habagat. So kung magko-cross naman po yung ating mga bagyo, it's either siya ay makapaminsala in terms na malakas ang hangin or posible pong maraming ulan.
The Department of Agriculture is now preparing to mitigate the impact of El Niño in food production.
Tinitingnan natin kung paano i-address yung mga areas na magiging vulnerable sa El Niño. Tinitingnan din po natin yung mga areas na possible na hindi tatamaan ng El Niño pero pwede nating i-maximize yung production.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The possible persons of interest in the sexual assault incident at the University of the Philippines or UP Diliman have been identified by the Quezon City Police District or QCPD. Meanwhile, UP Diliman is ensuring the safety and recovery of the victim. Nino will tell us why.
The Quezon City Police District or QCPD, with its collaborative work with the University of the Philippines or UP Diliman Police, revealed the possible persons of interest in the sexual assault incident which happened inside the campus.
I'll always open a possibility na sarap ang police para sa hulihin.
QCPD Director Police Brigadier General Nicolas Torres said they prioritize the arrest of the suspect and ensures that such case won't happen again. He added that individuals with similar incidents can seek help in QCPD's Hotline 122. Meanwhile, UP Diliman Chancellor Edgardo Vistan II reiterates that the university and the QCPD were well coordinated on the matter. This comes after the Commission on Higher Education or CHED states that they should review the UPD&D Accord.
They are here to support our own efforts, and if we need them, they will help us. There's no intention to come into the campus.
In place yung mechanisms on our end, siguro sa University of the Philippines, yung pagpapalakas, pag-beef up ng ating security personnel, pagtitiyak ng mga mechanisms.
Review will be good, but right now I don't have any problem with the setup natin. Yeah. Coordination is very, very good.
UP Diliman added that they took care of the student and ensured her safety and recovery.
Psychological support, counseling is there, no? Yung faculty na mga kakilala niya talaga ay tinutulungan din siya, nakikipagkita sa kanya, nakikipag-usap sa kanya.
Bernadette Tinoy, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
In other global stories, Russian troops numbering over 180,000 were deployed to two major battlefronts, according to Ukrainian Armed Forces Eastern Grouping. However, approximately 67% of the troops are concentrated on the longer Lyman-Kupiansk front. Paul Gatchalian tells us why.
A powerful grouping of over 180,000 troops were deployed by Russia to Lyman-Kupiansk and Bakhmut fronts, with 120,000 of the troops concentrated on the longer front between the cities of Lyman and Kupiansk. It was a pretty powerful grouping, according to the spokesperson for the eastern grouping of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Sergei Chervyati, which included New Storm Z assault companies that recruited people with criminal records, on top of air assault and mechanized units of Russia's Special Combat Army Reserve known as BARS. Meanwhile, Hanna Maliar, Deputy Defense Minister of Ukraine, and General Alexander Syrsky, the commander of Ukrainian land forces, agree that it was rapidly changing situation which Russia is trying to destabilize and disrupt the logistics of the defense forces. While Ukraine was able to deter troops from moving within Bakhmut, the Russians are desperately holding on to the positions and strongholds previously occupied by the Wagner mercenary forces. Paul Gatchalian, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Peru is on the brink of declaring a state of emergency in response to the escalating activity of the Obinas volcano in the southern region of Moquegua. The country's most active volcano has been relentlessly spewing ash for several days, prompting the government to take swift action. The National Institute of Civil Defense, or INDECI, stated that the alert level for the affected area has been upgraded from yellow to orange, aligning with national standards. Volcanic emissions have reached a staggering height of 1,700 meters, causing significant concern. Southern Peru, known for its mining sites, harbors a cluster of 12 active volcanoes. The country also lies within the Pacific Ring of Fire, an area known for frequent seismic and volcanic activities. Prime Minister Alberto Otarola addressed the media at the government palace, affirming the imminent declaration of a state of emergency. According to Otarola, this proactive step aims to facilitate the implementation of essential prevention measures within the region. Approximately 2,000 inhabitants of the affected area are strongly urged to maintain a safe distance from the volcano and have been advised to keep their doors and windows closed to prevent ash infiltration. Back in 2019, Peruvian authorities also conducted a large-scale evacuation of hundreds of individuals residing in close proximity to the Obinas volcano after a series of powerful explosions and the release of massive ash plumes. According to the Peruvian government, the declaration serves as a proactive response, enabling authorities to mobilize resources and minimize the impact of this natural disaster. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Marvi Delfin. Good evening.
The local government of Daraga Albay is preparing for the possible evacuation of the residents covered by the Extended Danger Zone, or EDZ, of the Mount Mayon. This comes after the volcano showed again increasing volcanic activity. Alan Manansala details why.
The first action being done by the Daraga Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office, or MDRRMO, is to identify the families living within the 7 to 8 kilometer extended danger zone in the south and southeast part of the volcano. As determined by PHIVOLCS, this is what is set to be evacuated in the event that the lava flow, pyroclastic density current, or uson, reaches the 6 kilometer boundaries from Mount Mayon. Engineer Bim Dineros, head of Daraga MDRRMO, admitted that the town has limited evacuation centers. Therefore, there is a need to identify which families should be evacuated and taken to the evacuation centers.
Actually, kung evacuation process lang naman, hindi tayo mahihirapan because yung mga taga-Daraga naman masunurin. So pag nagkaroon na si Mayor ng directive to evacuate, susunod naman sila. And then, pagdating na doon, yung magiging challenge na lang doon sa evacuation centers ay yung facilities na available doon sa evacuation centers, which na tinutugunan naman ng ating LGU.
The LGU needs 200 rooms for 1,000 families if evacuation takes place. Meanwhile, the residents of Barangay Matnog, Daraga, Albay, which are covered by the 7-kilometer extended danger zone, are also ready to leave their homes and properties in case they are obligated by the provincial government to evacuate.
Opo, kasi mas safe doon ang pamilya. Malayo sa kwan, dito sa Mayon.
Ayun ang order, siyempre alis.
While in the advisory released by PHIVOLCS in the past 24 hours, the agency recorded a continuous tremor-like series of weak volcanic earthquake or rumbles around the volcano that lasted for about 11 seconds. This is allegedly the reason why there was a sudden increase in the level of seismic energy emitted by the volcano since yesterday. The sulfur dioxide emission also went further up to 1,558 that may be caused by the movement of magmatic gas from under the volcano. Yesterday, the agency also recorded ashfall events observed in the areas of Ginubatan and Ligao City. Alan Manansala, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
As the country's highest recognition and advisory body in science and technology, the National Academy of Science and Technology, or NAST Philippines, introduces new scientist members in the country. The Academy hopes to introduce our awardees and raise the public's awareness of the timely issues on science and technology through their many accomplishments and research forte. According to National Academy of Science and Technology Philippines Director Niño Samarita Domingo, through the Academy's mandate to recognize outstanding achievements in science and technology made by Filipino scientists in all fields of science is a great opportunity to know more about the exemplary contributions of the awardees to science and technology in the Philippines. Meanwhile, the awarding ceremony will be on July 13, 2023 in Manila, Philippines.
Being a recipient of this award, I think for me, affirmation siya na merong impact yung collaboration na yun. Based sa pag-aaral namin, we understood that mangroves are very good absorbers of carbon in the atmosphere. Ano ba yung carbon na yun? Yun actually yung sobra na idudulot kapag gumagamit tayo ng sasakyan. Itong energy na meron dito sa building na to right now is being produced because there's a lot of carbon being burnt.
What we did in that pioneering study was that we were the first ones to actually observe what is this new phase of matter called a continuous time crystal. So the way to think about it is it's essentially like the crystal that we have, like the solids, that we are familiar with, but instead of having pattern in space, we have spontaneous pattern in time. Yeah? And so it's repeating itself in time. So that's why it's a time crystal. It sounds very sci-fi-ish, but it's real.
Our kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the various challenges and uncertainties, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Luke, chapter 1, verse 50, it says, "And his mercy is on them that fear him from generation to generation." And those are the reasons behind the news, July 4, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Hardy Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.